This is a city that is just undescribable. It's got two different parts of it, yet it all works together. It's so historical, and basically everything that has happened in history has happened in this city. It's one of the most incredible cities to visit in the Balkans, and quickly it's becoming at the very top of my travel bucket list. Welcome to the incredible city below me of Sarajevo, Bosnia. You wanna say hi? Say hi. Good morning, guys, from the beautiful new country of Bosnia. As you can see, we're at the airport and we've just landed, but let's go ahead and get some cash first because we need some cash. The reason I'm withdrawing cash here at the airport is that I've heard that the rates here are pretty good, and for what I've seen, it's not too bad. So if you do want to take out cash, I just took out 200 marks. That is the convertible mark, the name of the currency here in Bosnia. But if that's what you're looking for, then the airport might be a good place to just withdraw some quick cash before you head into the city of Sarajevo. And literally a 40-minute bus ride later from this airport of Sarajevo, we've made it to the center of the city. Now, Sarajevo is an interesting city because it's divided into two parts. The center of Sarajevo is made up of an Ottoman part, which we're going to see later in the day, and the part I'm currently in, which is the Austro-Hungarian part. It's a really historic city with so many different flavors to it, so many different cultures, and so many empires that have ruled over this place, which is why it is probably one of the most incredible places you can visit here in Sarajevo. Now, like I mentioned, we're currently here in the Austro-Hungarian part of the city, and you can probably tell based on the buildings around me, this seems like very European architecture, and it is. As I mentioned before, this was the part where the Austro-Hungarians ruled, and the architecture is very much based on Western Europe, but that will slowly change once we have the meeting of the cultures later, which I'm going to show you. But for now, let's go ahead and explore the Austro-Hungarian part of the city of Sarajevo. First stop here in the Austro-Hungarian side of the city of Sarajevo is this right here. This is the Eternal Flame. Now, actually, I was here like 10 minutes ago, and something was happening. A lot of people were filming it. I think there were soldiers coming in. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe they were setting this light on fire. But this is the Eternal Flame, which means that it's supposed to be eternal. It's supposed to be burning at all times. And the reason that this flame is so important, it's there to commemorate the world wars and the people that were lost here in Sarajevo because of it. You can see like there's a lot of flowers in the back that are mentioning like Sarajevo. It's a really, really important sort of war memorial here in the city of Sarajevo. The flame's always shining and it's always bright here at the Eternal Flame. I think that by accident I've stumbled into some form of a market here in Sarajevo. They have cheese, they have meat, they have fruits, like the ones right behind me. They literally have everything.
Masz vacuum? No problem, temperatura može donosi bez problema.
It's okay.
Ja, okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Whatever it is he's saying.
Dobar ti mesa, dobra imate, ekstra kvalitet.
Thank you.
Halal mesa.
Locals told me that what's incredible about the city of Sarajevo is that walking within a 500-meter radius, you'll see a mosque, a synagogue, and a church all in the same area, just because of how many different influences and cultures have affected this city. And sure enough, in the Austro-Hungarian part of the city, you're obviously going to see a Western-style church. And what we've got right here is one of those churches right behind me. It's one of the landmark icons here in Sarajevo. He is not the least bothered by me at all. I don't think the cats in Sarajevo like me very much. That's pretty disappointing. Now, for all those history buffs out there, you must have known that when I came to Sarajevo, there was one thing that I definitely had to see, and sure enough, it is right there across the street from me. This is the site that sparked World War I, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Now, if you know your history, you'll know that the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, which is where this entire region was, used to run Bosnia and Herzegovina, and there was a lot of resentment by the Bosnians. After all, they did just sort of take over Sarajevo and the country as well. Well, this assassination happened when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austro-Hungary was on a visit. He literally crossed that bridge right there. That is the Latin Bridge. He crossed from the other side of the river, and right here stood this guy called Gavrilo Princip. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He shot him right there, and actually you can see the footprints, so we're gonna go check it out and see if my footprints actually match, because apparently the legend is if the footprints match, you'll get 4 years of good luck. The crazy thing is that this place still exists to this day. They've actually documented it, and there's also a museum right behind the actual site itself, just to get you a better idea of what Bosnia-Herzegovina is, and also the influence of the Austro-Hungarian Empire at the time. But I really want to go see my footprints match, so let's go see that first. Time for the moment of truth. Let's see if they match. Oh, mine are too big. They definitely do not match. I mean, look at that. That's way too big. I definitely didn't commit the crime. I can tell you that right now. I did not do the crime, but I also guess that means I'm not going to have good luck for the next 4 years. So be that as it may, that is a really interesting sight to see. Now, at the beginning of this video, I had mentioned how Sarajevo is sort of a city of two parts. You've got the Austro-Hungarian side, and then of course you've got the Ottoman side. And I mentioned that there was a very clear line that sort of divided the two parts of the city up into the two different sections. And that's exactly where we are right now. There's this line here that basically says the meeting of the cultures. Everything on that side of the line, just look at the architecture. It's Austro-Hungarian, it's Western European in style and culture, and that is the influence of Austro-Hungary. But then if you look on this side, automatically it's Ottoman, and you can tell the difference in the architecture. You can see there's a mosque over there, which we'll check out later, but that is the Ottoman influence. So once you cross this line, basically you've entered one of the Ottoman parts of the city, and that's where you'll see all these like beautiful little tiled roofs, these sort of wooden sort of structures that are reminiscent of the Ottoman Empire. I don't know what it is about Sarajevo, but I just keep having a tendency of stumbling into markets, and sure enough, the first thing I've stumbled into on the Ottoman side is this market right here. It's something Gazi Hazri Bezistan, I think that's the way you pronounce it, but basically this is like another local market here. But if you've watched my Turkish videos, you know that this looks exactly like the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul, and that's because this is like a very Ottoman inspired structure. I mean, if you look at it, like the little stores and everything, this feels like I am back in Istanbul or something. But it is a little bit darker in here. This is a really, really old building. What's really funny is if you look at the outside of the building, it's literally in like old ruins. Like it's clearly like super old ruins and structures on the outside. But inside, they've managed to turn it into this beautiful, pristine looking little market. So let's go ahead and check it out. The market itself is a little bit underwhelming, especially if you've already been to Turkey before. It's just one row. It's a pretty decently long row, but the variety in what they're selling isn't great. It's just clothes and souvenirs and clothes and souvenirs, which I guess is basically typical of any tourist market. But it is a really nice place to walk around. I do feel a little bit calmer and more comfortable going in because they don't try and hassle you. In Turkey, you walk through there, they will attack you. They will flock at you like pigeons. But here, they kind of just don't really care. And I guess that's one way to approach making your business, but I don't know if it's the most effective way. Now, if you end up walking around the old Ottoman town and you're feeling a little thirsty for water, don't you worry. They have public fountains that are supposed to be completely free and supposed to have some incredible water. Like this one right here. So let's go ahead and fill it up and let's see what we get.
Yeah, one more cheese.
It works. Definitely works. I can't tell the story of Sarajevo without talking about this guy called Gavi Huzrev Beg. He's actually the name of which that market we saw earlier, it's named after him. And this mosque here, is also named after him. So I should probably talk about him for a second. He was one of the wealthiest donors to Sarajevo. He really invested in a lot of these great projects. He was a major sort of big influence in Sarajevo. He had a lot of financial power because of his wealth, but also he had a lot of political power because of his wealth as well. But the result of that is a lot of things that we see here today represent him. A lot of things are named after him. The mosque here is named after him. This is the Gazi Husrev Beg Mosque right behind me. Probably the biggest and the most ornate mosque in all of Ottoman era Sarajevo. And well, I know I've seen a lot of mosques in my time, but it's always worth checking out a new one here in Bosnia. I have to say, despite being smaller than most of the mosques that I've seen in Istanbul and Turkey, this mosque is still incredible. Like I mentioned, it is a very important mosque. It's named after the guy Gazi Hamza, who is a very important figure in Sarajevo, an important political figure, an important financial figure. And inside, it's just beautiful. It's really grand, and actually if you look at it from the skyline, you'll just realize how big of an actual mosque it is. And like most mosques here in the Balkans, it's still a living mosque in that people still come here to come and pray. And I was literally caught in the middle of a prayer, so I quickly left as soon as I could. You can probably see the footage of me rushing out as hordes start running into the mosque. But it is still an incredible place of worship, and definitely something that you should come and see when you're here in Sarajevo. Now, we've been spending a lot of time here in the Ottoman Old Town portion of Sarajevo, but the heart of the Ottoman Old Town is this area right here. This is known as, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Baščaršija. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've tried a lot of times, so give me some credit here. This is an entire area that has a main fountain in the middle, and then of course it leads all the way down into the old town, the Ottoman Old Town of Sarajevo. And what's interesting is that this entire area used to be where people who came in from the mountains would come and sell their goods. This used to be the main market where people will come here and bring their goods to be sold at the market, where, you know, fruits and vegetables would be sold, and then people would bring it back up to their homes in the mountains. Now, what's also very interesting is that after the Ottomans left, so this place was ruled by the Ottomans for over 500 years, but after they left and the Austro-Hungarians came in, the Austro-Hungarians didn't just scrap all this and build their own structures. Instead, they drew a line, which is that line that we saw earlier, and everything west of that line was built in Austro-Hungarian style, which is really interesting. It's not usual that when an empire takes over, they'll respect the previous owners, and then they'll only build outside beyond that. The only reason we have this today is, thankfully, the Austro-Hungarians didn't decide to destroy all this and build all their buildings here instead. So that's why we still have this today. But this is a great meeting point here in Sarajevo, and basically no trip to the main Ottoman Old Town is possible without visiting this sort of main heart of the entire town. I don't know what it is about pigeons and large squares, but no matter where you go in the world, they work out well. Hi! You want to say hi? Say hi. All right then. Well, if you're familiar with this channel, you'll know that I am a sucker for the greatest viewpoints of every city in the world, and Sarajevo is no exception. And let me tell you, there is a pretty amazing viewpoint here. This is a place called the Yellow Fortress, and it's not the easiest place to get to, but if you put in the effort, you get a view that looks a little something like this. The thing about Sarajevo is that because it's completely surrounded by mountains, which you can see all completely by the city, it's not really hard to get a good viewpoint of the city. I mean, this is on the eastern end of the city, but you can easily get up there. There's even a cable car that will take you all the way up there, and you'd have it also a pretty incredible viewpoint of the city. So Sarajevo is a city made for scenic sights, and it's not hard to actually get a really good view of the city. But with that said, this is going to be our last stop for our full guide here in Sarajevo. It's been our first day here in Bosnia, and I have to say it's making a pretty impressive impression, and it's definitely going to be a place that I want to come back to for a number of reasons. The cultural diversity in this place, from the Austro-Hungarian side to the Ottoman side. The food is incredible, the people are so friendly, there's so many cats, and the history of this place is just incredible. It literally combines the best of the Ottoman Empire and then mixes it with sort of Central European culture. There's no real city like it, and especially knowing the history of this place. I haven't talked about some of the museums that are in the city, but if you do have the time, you can visit the Siege of Sarajevo Museum and the Genocide Museum, and you'll see how much trouble and how much pain the people of Sarajevo actually went through. Up here you can clearly see how much Sarajevo suffered from the siege. I mean, imagine all this entire area, this entire city just sort of fenced up and under siege by the Serbian forces. It makes you really reflect on the reality that is Sarajevo today, but just knowing that it wasn't always this way, and it's had a very, very turbulent past 30 years ago really makes you reconsider your notions of what Sarajevo looks like. But to be fair, this is an incredible city, and if it isn't on the next destination sort of bucket list of yours, then I don't know what you're doing, because Sarajevo is an incredible city to visit. If you have enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for food and travel videos. We've got more coming here from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sarajevo is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's been an incredible tip of the iceberg, that's for sure. So make sure to stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye guys.